Hello all, welcome to Lucid Means. Today we are going to look at Organization of Islamic Cooperation or OIC. This is a very hot topic for this year's exam following the tragic Pulwama terror attack and the Indian reply in the form of airstrikes in terrorist training camps in different locations inside Pakistan. So all the facts about OIC have to be studied well because we could expect a question for prelims too. So let us start. So first, why this is in news? India was invited to the inaugural plenary of the 46th Foreign Ministers Conclave of the OIC, which was held at Abu Dhabi, and the External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj attended it as the guest of honor. It was for the first time India has been invited to an OIC meeting as the guest of honor, and India considers this as a diplomatic success because this invitation comes at a time when India is trying to isolate Pakistan internationally following the Pulwama attack in which 40 CRPF personnel were killed. The OIC has usually been supportive to Pakistan and often sided with Islamabad on the Kashmir issue, and they usually refer Kashmir as an Indian occupied area. So, what is OIC? The OIC, formerly Organization of Islamic Conference and later changed their name to Cooperation, is the second largest intergovernmental organization in the world after the United Nations, with a membership of 57 states in 4 different continents. The OIC describes itself as the collective voice of the Muslim world, and its objective is to safeguard and protect the interests of the Muslim world in the spirit of promoting international peace and harmony among various people of the world. It was founded in 1969, consisting of 57 member states, and has a collective population of almost 2 billion. The OIC has reserved its membership for the Muslim majority countries only. They have permanent delegations to the United Nations and the European Union. The official language of the OIC are Arabic, English and French. Its permanent secretariat is located at Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. Also, the Independent Permanent Human Rights Commission (IPHRC) is a separate human rights council for the OIC nations, and it works as an organ under OIC. And the terms of its working are taken from the Cairo Declaration on Human Rights in Islam 1990, that is CDHRI, which provides an overview on the Islamic perspective on human rights and affirms Islamic Sharia as its sole source. Also, Islamic Summit, the bigger conference, is convened in every 3 years, and the Conference of Foreign Ministers, in which India is invited, happens every year. Sawt al-Hikmah, or the Voice of Wisdom, is a center for dialogue, peace and understanding, is under OIC, where extremism and terrorism is countered by exposing the deviant narrative groups and spreading the values of peace and coexistence. So we are moving on to the member states. There are 57 members spread across 4 continents in OIC, and they are, as from the figure we can see that 4 continents, and first we will look from transcontinental nations, that countries which are spread across 2 continents. First one is Azerbaijan, then Egypt, Indonesia, Kazakhstan and Turkey. In this, we usually get doubt about Indonesia. The Indonesian archipelago is located between the Indian and Pacific Oceans. Although Indonesia is considered to be mainly situated within the continent of Asia, some of its territories are located within the region of Oceania, making it a transcontinental country. And the Oceania is a geographic region, not usually a continent, which consists of Australia and the 3 main Pacific island groups like Micronesia, Melanesia and Polynesia. And most of the islands of the Pacific Ocean lies in this region. And about Azerbaijan, it comes in Asia and Europe. About Egypt, it lies between Asia and Africa. About Kazakhstan also same, that is between Asia and Europe. And about Turkey, 95% is in Asia, but a 5% remains in Europe. Next, from African continent, there are 26 countries from Africa. That includes Algeria, Benin, Burkina Faso, Cameroon, Chad, Comoros, Djibouti, Gabon, Gambia, Guinea and so on. But the point to note here is that the next, that is the 14th Islamic Summit's proposed venue is the country of Gambia. Next one is from Asia. There are 23 countries from Asia in OIC. includes Afghanistan, Bangladesh and Pakistan from India's surroundings, and also includes Bahrain, Brunei, Iran, Iraq, Jordan, Kuwait, Palestine, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan, United Arab Emirates, etc. But the point to note here is that Syria was suspended from OIC in 2012 as a warning to the massacres committed by the Syrian government. But even now, Syria is shown in the member list in the official website. So that's why Syria is shown in the green color in the map. Next, from Europe, there is one and only one country, that is Albania. And from South America, there are two countries, Guyana and Suriname. And in pink color, we can see some countries that are the observer status. That includes Russia, Thailand, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Central African Republic and the Turkish Cypriot state. And this Turkish Cypriot state means it is a country that is formed due to the dispute in Cyprus. This Turkish Cypriot state has been formed as a solution to the Cyprus dispute, and the United Nations 2004 Annan Plan for the reunification of Cyprus has proposed that the United Cyprus Republic would consist of two constituent states, that is the Greek Cypriot state and the Turkish Cypriot state. So that's all about the countries. And now we are moving on to India and OIC. Back in 1969, India had to endure the diplomatic humiliation of being disinvited from the founding session of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation due to some external pressures. But 50 years later, India now had the privilege of addressing the foreign ministers gathering of OIC. India considered this as a recognition of the presence of 185 million Muslims in India and of their contribution to its pluralistic ethos and of India's contribution to the Islamic world. Indian delegates at OIC have acknowledged that the challenge of terrorism can't be fought through military means alone and must be won through the strength of our values and the real message of religions in favor of peace and harmony. India reminded the OIC about India's traditional good relationship with almost all the members of OIC, and India especially referred to the dramatic transformation in India's relation with Gulf region during the last few years. Also, India was able to successfully convey that the fight against terrorism and extremism does not amount to a clash of cultures and instead it as a fight between ideas. All these showed India's pluralism and diversity as a source of strength and also said that Indian Muslims are a microcosm or simply a miniature of India's larger diverse culture. But why India now after all these long 50 years? There are three major reasons for that. The first one being, religion remains the organizing principle of OIC and all member states usually pursue their own national interests with little regard to faith. And in the case of India, after the creation of Bangladesh in 1971, has become the second largest Muslim nation in the world after Indonesia and hence cannot be ignored. Also, India is the only country which we can boast about having minority Muslims reaching the highest positions including 3 presidents, vice president, chief justices and heads of air force, intelligence, etc. Also, when we look at the film industry, the top film stars in Bollywood and well-known artists and scientists are Muslim, and that adds to India's international prestige including in the Islamic world. The second main reason is that the growing importance of economic partnership. The region's growing economic and energy interdependence with India, which is emerging as the world's third largest economy and one of the biggest hydrocarbon importers and labor exporters, is a major reason. And the third one is that shared interest in combating destabilizing forces of religious extremism. As the region's geopolitics enters a turbulent period, the potential for India as a military partner is also coming into the view of OIC countries and have generated new warmth for Delhi. So now we are moving on to the last slide, that is way forward and conclusion. Even though India was the guest of honor and was well treated in the meeting, OIC condemned the airstrike by India in Pakistan as the Indian incursion and aerial violation. With the exception of OIC, there has been no global criticism of India's statement on airstrikes, and most have just counseled restraint to both countries. What this shows is that India's first ever participation in an OIC gathering does not mean that the Islamic countries have decided to discard Pakistan in favor of India. As in other international forums, it's not a zero-sum game between India and Pakistan. But the good thing that happened is that the diplomatic opening in Abu Dhabi has cleared the ground for a more intensive and sustained political engagement with the global Islamic collective. So the next big step for India should be to begin a quiet campaign for the observer status at OIC. Also, a non-ideological and interest-based relationship suits and benefits both India and the conservative Islamic countries in the Middle East. So that's all, and thanks for watching.